In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to use path blur in Adobe Photoshop. Hello and welcome back to Inspiration Clan. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be looking at path blurs and how we can apply these path blurs to our images. So I'm going to jump straight into Photoshop and I'm going to open up the stock image. We want blur stock 2, the image of this Ferrari. So a little bit about path blurs before we get started. So using path blur effects, you can create motion blurs along a specific path. You can also control the shape and the amount of blurring, and Photoshop will automatically composite the effects of multiple paths and apply it to our image. So with that in mind, like other blur effects, we need to make a selection so that we can apply the blur to a specific area of the image. In this case, we only want to apply the path blur to the background. We don't want to apply that blur to the actual car. So I'm going to go ahead and select the car. I'm going to speed up the video to save time. Okay, so we now have the selection of our car, and what I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to save this selection. Saving the selection will allow us to revisit the selection whenever we like. So I'm going to come up to select and I'm going to hit save selection, and I'm just going to name that selection car. Going to click OK there, and then I'm going to hit Command or Control and D on my keyboard to deselect. I'm now going to duplicate the layer, the background layer. So I'm going to press Command or Control and J, and you will see the new layer has been created. I'm then going to come back up to select, and I'm going to click load selection, and we want to select the car, so we want to reload in the car selection. I'm going to click OK there. Now with our car selected and the path active, I'm going to hit Command and Control and J again. You'll notice that this is a very popular shortcut to create a new layer, or if you have a selection, create a new layer with that selection. So Command and Control and J, and there we go. We just have our car. So if we turn off these two images, you will see we just have the selection of the car. And now what we want to do quickly is we just want to convert this layer, the layer we're going to apply the path blur to. We want to convert that to a smart object. So I'm just going to click convert to smart object. The reason we're doing that is so that we can edit the path blur after we accept the original settings. It will be more apparent after we've completed the initial blur. I will show you the benefits of doing it this way around. Okay, so we want to come and apply the path blur now. So we want to come up to filter, and we want to come up to down to blur gallery, and we want to go to path blur. Okay, so you will immediately see that the path blur is active. We've come into this new window. You've got settings on the right hand side, you've got settings at the top here. So we want to actually apply our own path. So the first things first is you want to think about the direction. So it will by default just have one in the middle, and you can click and drag to change the direction. These are little arrows. So this is the direction the blur is going. So we want to have the blur going this way in the same direction as the car. So there's one. And then whilst you're in this path blur window, you can see that the cursor has changed. We've now got points, so we can click and add additional points to our image. So I'm just going to click on the right hand side here to add 1 point. I'm going to move, and you'll see this line come with me. So this is another path. So this is another direction or path that we're going to say to Photoshop, use this path to create the blur. So I'm just going to click, and that adds a point. At this point you can move and it will create bends, but we just want to create a straight path for now. So we're just going to click on little bullet point, and that will OK that one. Now when you're doing this, you want to think about the perspective in your image and the direction of the paths. So in this case we can follow the lines of the building. It gives us a clear idea of where we want our paths to go. So I'm just going to add a couple more in here. Click to confirm that there. add one in here, click to confirm. At the bottom the perspective is different, so you can look almost along the line of the curb here. So we want to go around here, and again one down there. That's looking about right. So now we have the paths in place. We want to come over to the right and we can look at some of these settings. So the biggest setting and the one that you'll play around with the most is the speed. So we can increase the speed, and that's going to increase the amount of blur, and it's going to give the appearance that we're going a lot faster. So you can play around with that setting and you can apply that however you like. All these other settings we're going to keep default for now, just for the sake of this lesson. But you can have a little play around and see the effects you can achieve, but by default Photoshop does a great job. So once you've got all your settings confirmed and you're happy with the result, we're going to come up to the top and we're going to click OK to confirm. So I'm going to click OK up there, and you'll see Photoshop will load. This is Photoshop working out the path blur, and it's going to produce this effect for us. So there you go. You can see that Photoshop has created this blur. What I'm going to do is, because we've got it on a separate layer, I'm just going to turn it off. That was the original, and that is after. So you can see Photoshop does an awesome job of creating this path blur, and it does give the impression of speed. As well, you can see because we converted our layer to a smart object, we can come back in and edit this. If we didn't convert to a smart object, Photoshop would have applied the path blur to the pixels and we wouldn't be able to go back in and edit. But because we've done it this way around, we can double click, and again we're back into this window, so we can say, okay, yeah, I actually want to change that path, select OK, and again Photoshop's going to adjust that for us. So it's a very good technique to use to convert to smart object, as it allows you to go back in and perform edit. So that is how you quickly perform path blurs, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me in this lesson. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for learning with Inspiration Clan. I hope you enjoyed this video. To view the full course, visit our website inspirationclan.com. The link is in the description. For more free tutorials, like and subscribe.